Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. We're doing a series of videos called Sex Signs, and now we're on the 20th episode. I want to talk about signs, naturally, since this is the subject. We make certain signs in our life that become automatic. We say hi, goodbye, we hug each other, we are reading words, that's sign language. And when people talk, they're making sign language, which is really an interesting thing to observe. When you see people maybe at a distance, you can't hear what they're saying, but you can see the signs that they make. I would say, especially women, make more gestures, that all kinds of hand signs, hands gestures, which are signaling what the emotion is, usually the emotion. So we make signs here. And these signs are connected with emotions. We make a sign, sometimes signing off, we call it the sign of the crest. I'm talking about we, I'm speaking for the Love Government and all the lovers who are associating with that. Not that have to be that name as such, but lovers who want to be true lovers is who we're speaking of when we invite them in from past, present, and future by sign language. We're making signs and people are attracted to signs. We make the sign of the crest, which plays off the sign of the cross. Cross is this, sign of the cross. Now I'm familiar with it because I used to be in that sign language system as a Catholic priest. So we made the sign of the cross many, many times. But I didn't realize what was really behind it. The cross is a Roman cross. And in our religion, Jesus was crucified on that Roman cross. And it was reinterpreted as a sign of love. But it doesn't make really any sense except that you say, well, he put up with that out of love for us. But the sign itself is just a crucified person. That's an ugly thing. It's a terrible power thing. And so when you keep making that sign, it's a mixed bag. It ingrains in us the emotion of that, which is terror, which is suffering, which is pain. So by using the sign, all of those emotions and meanings become associated with the sign. And after a while, you do it out of habit, but the sign is still having an effect. Now signs work like that. So we can change the signs and change the language and thereby change ourselves by simply changing the sign. So I don't use that sign anymore. It used to be like this, the sign of the cross. Sign of the cross. And it was interpreted as love. That God or Jesus loved us so much that he died on the cross. But it doesn't really make any sense, not in terms of love, really. It's a confusion. If you want love, you don't want suffering, you don't want pain, you don't want. So it's assuming that was already present, and then that we need a Savior to save us from that. But it doesn't explain the origin of where the suffering came from. It just wasn't. We were born in suffering. We were born to suffer. We were born in sin. We were born in terror. We were born in a state where we were threatened always by somebody coming through the woods or over the hill that was going to kill us or try to overcome us. Now, in Love Government, we've gone back and we say that that is not true. It is understandable. I mean, it's true in the sense that suffering is present and killing and evil is present, but unless we go back and see where it came from, then we can't correct it. We haven't diagnosed the problem. But if we diagnose the problem, then we can cure it. The problem, as I said, was men, patriarchal men, killing the love culture and boosting up their power by killing animals. It's about killing. And the sign of the cross is about killing. A man was killed, and many, many thousands of people were killed under that system. The system of the cross, which symbolizes suffering and pain. Covered over by a doctrine of love, which really doesn't make sense at all. It's a bypass of a reasonable, intelligent, critical thinking process. And that, then we get stuck there, and we get manipulated, confused, and then you get what the sign is delivering on the unconscious level, which is terror of being crucified on that cross. And every time I would make that cross, I didn't know what was going on, but that whole thing was becoming embedded in me. The signs we use, the language we use, the habits that we persist in, make up the quality of our life. So how do we change it? We make a different sign. Now I use, in the love government, the sign of the crest. I'm playing off the sign of the cross. Now today, you might not be a Catholic, you may not be religious at all, but we're still operating under signs and words and languages. Here in the States, we have this pyramid sign, which is another type of a cross sign. It's about suffering, it's about death, it's about getting to the top of that pyramid. And every time you use those type of signs, that gets embedded in our emotions. So now we change it, in the love culture, we change it to the sign of the crest, or the sign of the circle, sign of the oval. Because here we have the crest. Your lap is a crest. In the feminist literature, if you go back in archaeology about 3,000-4,000 years ago, around Crete, I think it was, some culture, they had a symbol that was used by those people at the time, and it looked like a double axe. And I've never seen anybody explain it, but it hit me intuitively one day what that is. It's a crest. If you can imagine it, the people who are in that field, if they're listening to this, may recognize that. This sign had a handle on it, and it was a double axe. Looks like a double axe, but it has nothing to do with being an axe. And so what does it mean? What did it mean to those people? It came to me that is the crest. It's a crest. That's the hip crest of a woman. The bones, and they would have seen bones because they put their dead outside to be disposed of by vultures, and the vultures were also in those art drawings. The vultures were there, big vulture who stripped the bones, and then you could see the crest. So the woman's sexual, this is the woman's sexual center, which is the crest. Her iliac bones make a crest. Make a cradle here for the baby, of course, and it makes a cradle for having sex also. So then that symbol made sense, at least to me. And there are other symbols like that. We make this sign of the crest. That's a life-giving symbol. It's natural. It has to do with life and love and woman-centeredness and highly sexual, beautiful, life-giving, happiness, joy, as opposed to killing with a cross, a Roman cross, which is a sword planted in the earth, and the handle and the hilt make a cross. It's a cross of power, a sword of power. The Roman Empire conquered in that cross sign. The emperor, Constantine, had a vision, supposedly, that was highly political and advantageous to him. And the vision that he had was the sign of the cross, and the voice came and said, "In this sign you will conquer," or "conquer in this sign." And it took place at a certain bridge where a big battle was going to be fought. And Constantine fought in the sign of that cross. And that cross became the symbol of Christianity, because Constantine made Christianity the state religion. This was in 300 or something, early 300s. And Christianity then became part of the Roman Empire, based on a cross as the symbol of power and terror, the terror of crucifixion, or the terror of simply being run through with a sword. And that was happening all over in these empires. And it's still happening today, but it's different, and so it fools us. So people are being killed by millions under this globalization system we have. But it's the same old game of power. To get away from that, then we go to a different system, and that is the system of the circle, the crest. You can imagine a crest, a circle or an oval, really an oval, resting on my lap here. And so we make that sign. We say, in the name of the lover, that's over the genitals, the lover, then the mother over the belly here, and the breast, mother, breast, and then up to the father up here. Now the father up here is a true father who takes care of the loving system, the mother, the womb, the child, and nature. That's a true man. Not somebody who runs you through with a sword or crucifies you on a cross. That's power. That's terror. So the universal sign is that of love, which is a circle, an oval, and that refers to this oval of the woman's vulva, and the ovalness, the roundness of her body, her breasts, her belly when she's pregnant is really a circle. All of these are signs, and a different kind of signs than this. Very different. And so after a while, by making these signs and talking about them and playing with them, you develop a sign language that is highly sexual in the loving sense. And then that gets into our system by use. And we change. Our constitutions change. Our thinking changes. Our way of living changes. Because we're using different signs. We're sign languaging to each other. And to ourselves, mainly. It starts with ourselves. And we sign out to the culture. And this becomes the new way of living, which is actually based on the old way. Old being going back to the origin of our culture, which was about love. And we were protected for a long time because we were doing these kind of signs. We were enacting these kind of signs in our actions, in our sacraments, in our sacred ceremonies. And this is sort of like that. We're trying to reenact it here, mainly by means of words and gestures with modern techniques. But it needs to be supplemented by other things like the website and reading and writing. Thank you for listening, and we lit with the sign of the circle. You make a circle rather than a cross as a departing sign, and that energy goes out to you and to me and vibrates between us. Thank you. Love.